So front loading, Rhonda's going to talk about some things she does with front loading and bring back that 6 boxes.
I just wanted to explain that 6 boxes a little bit, so we did it, on day 1 with the Tom's things. But just the idea of front loading, it's probably like Jeff Wilhelm says that all of the work you do before you ever hit the page is probably the most important work that you're doing with the kids. Like once you've started reading, that whole opportunity is lost. So it's really important to start here with the front loading. It's the most important thing you can do to ensure student success. Research suggests that well over half of student comprehension problems can be eliminated if teachers activate background knowledge students already possess prior to reading. So that if you think back on that first day when I showed the pictures, that convergent thinking where they're just like getting sort of into that world. So I'm going to show you what I did with the 6 boxes with in my class. Excuse me. Inquiry process requires an explicit and implicit assistance, BDA, before, during, and after reading and learning activities. So front loading is pre-reading, pre-writing, or pre-learning activities, anticipatory sets. It isn't stuff that's new, but it's stuff that we need to conscientiously think about and place in our lessons. So this is actually a quote from a student that I had in class. I had them write an essay on a theme from several stories that we'd read, and she was like, "I'm so excited about the front loading that you did that I want to write about that. Can I?" And I was like, "Sure." But one thing she said, she said, "What is a good way to understand how suspense is built in Cask of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe," which is a piece of text that is just pretty far out from them. It's I can't say it's more complex, but it's as unapproachable as Shakespeare is for them to read by themselves. It's pretty tough. So there are a whole bunch of versions of Cask of Amontillado. There's Vincent Price reads one, and there's just great ones on there. But I really do like that one because I like the black and white. I like the still pictures. I like that there's so much to be left to ask them to predict. So what were the key things that you saw in that you'd be able to predict what's happening?
The fear on the black and white face of the
trouble.
Yeah.
There's fear, and that would be a great way. I haven't done that because that's kind of new for me, but I could say, so where do you see the trouble in this? What's happening?
You kind of notice that in the part where they say, they were drinking wine and it's all fine, but then you kind of know it's not all fine and something's coming.
So the lyrics with the calmness and how that's setting it up, good. It's like an auction.
Looked like there was something going on with the guy in shackles and the guy holding his hand. I thought I saw at one point hand holding something that looked like compassion in some form. I don't know what that was.
Fake?
It was fake.
Or something. We don't know, but those are predictions. I'm constantly doing that. Or something. That's a prediction. You should write it down. Because I don't really want to give it away, but I keep saying, that's a prediction. That's good. You should write it down. So, yeah.
I'm sorry. I really need to do a little stretch.
Oh, it was a stretch. You're just trying to get me.
No,
I'll make it look like an auction. So, the different things that in this box, I love it because I also asked them to write down a few ideas. What do you know about Edgar Allan Poe? And then especially what you predict this will be about. And I actually don't go a lot into the author for this. It's not like they need a lot of his background. I might, give a little bit, but there's some things that they've had in the past that they can bring up with his. And a lot of times they've already read The Raven, or there's some pieces. So, but that gives them that basis that the story is really all there, but it's kind of not. You really don't get it just from that. The next spot is a personal connection. So remember in box 3, they go over to a personal connection. So I asked them about revenge. Is it better to forgive and forget or revenge? And they really have strong opinions on that. That revenge, or we should forgive each other. It's great. So they write about that, and then I ask, have you ever felt like you wanted to get back at someone for hurting you or someone that you know? And so there's usually some good writing and sharing and ideas on that. I don't take too much time, but this is getting them again into thinking about what's going on in the story. And I wanted to say about the song, I'm really hesitant to give away like the endings of stories or what's happening, or giving the whole idea of the story and what's going on in it, because For me as a reader, I like to read to discover. I don't even read the backs of the books. I just want to read and jump in and discover. But what I find is that in order to make some stories even approachable, or maybe even to make some reading approachable for some readers, that if they know what's going on, or even if they have seen the movie, that they're much more willing and they go through the story. And so that's very backward from my own experience, but I don't think it's backward from like reality of what people need to make things approachable. So I never would think that I would show a movie and then have us read the book. I would never function that way. I read the book so that then I can go meet the people on the screen. But what I'm finding is that, like a student said a couple weeks ago, said, you know what I find is that the movie just ruins the book. So I like to watch the movie and then I can read the book. And I thought, I've never even thought of it that way. And I think that's that's a reader's approach. So it's not that, like I'm a reader and someone else isn't, but also struggling readers to have that plot in their mind and kind of know where it's going, and then to be able to see where the pieces are coming together. So for at-risk kids, or when I had like that separate basic class that I told you I've integrated, but a lot of times pulling aside and just doing the plot, or some steps to help them get closer to what the story is. That song really does it. So that's a quick way, and I don't know, I felt like it was cheating or something before, so that was a big learning thing for me. So these are words, I told you that in box 4, the vocabulary was so important. So these are words that I pull out of there that they need to know. I have a coat of arms for my family, so that's really fun to bring. My exchange student, her family researched it and gave it to us for a thank you from the Basque Country. So it even has like in Spanish, like our lineage back to like the 15th century. So yeah, it's really neat. So, and I also had another kid that brought in his coat of arms, and so everybody's pitching in doing that, and he was related to like Constantine. Crazy. So that's fun, and impunity is such a key word, so that's a fun one, and immolation. So, and the motto in Latin at the bottom, no one gets away with harming me. No one harms me and gets away with it. So these are some key, remember I told you to write down key points when you did your box 5, and I was more directed with students. So for me, this one was much more directed. I wanted them to look for revenge to be successful. And in the introduction of this story, Poe sets it up and says, revenge is successful if, and he gives these points that have to happen. So I kind of read that with them and set that up so that they're going into the story knowing some things to look for. So they have to, if you're going to be successful in revenge, you have to punish with impunity. You have to, the avenger must be known in the immolation. And you can give no reason or cause to suspect any bad will. So you innocently lead them in and then hurt them. So it's really fun to decide if kids agree with that or not, or for them to decide, yeah.
The reading teacher at our school, when she does Roll of Thunder, it's the part where Cassie takes the white garlic into the forest, and that whole revenge, and then they have that whole conversation.
What a great way to transfer too. So to have, this is what happened in this story, and here's another one. Thanks. So then I do ask them after they've read it that they have some reflection, and I play the song again, and then when they see it, everything comes together. It's like reading the introduction of To Kill a Mockingbird. After the story's over, we go back and read the first 2 paragraphs again, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's all there! Same with this, that the song is there. And we ask, was revenge successful? What makes you say so? How do you know? And then so what? Explain why this narrator tells this story. And so that kind of gets after that idea of the slant and the view, and can you trust this narrator? So we talked a little bit about that there. So front-loading. Front-loading is what you do before the reading and learning activities to increase interest, or create it completely, to foreground purpose, to activate background knowledge the students already have, and to build background so that they do not possess but will need in order to be successful with the current task. And this is often achieved naturally, as some students know things that others do not, thus building on the group's prior knowledge. And then last, provide some kind of response template to assist in constructing and place-holding emergent understandings over the course of the unit, so like a note catcher. So you're setting them up so that as you go forward that they can keep collecting and building and understanding. So you can tell with the 6 boxes, that has been a big front-loading device that I really love. I think it can be adapted in so many situations for every grade level, you know, K through plus college, right?